Hi, welcome to Book Reviews with Fee, and today we're going to be reviewing Finding Me by actress Viola Davis. And Viola Davis is popular for playing the maid in The Help, you is smart, you is important, She won a Tony on Broadway for her role in Fences with the Denzel Washington. And she's most popularly known for her leading primetime role as Annalise Keating in How to Get Away with Murder. But Finding Me lets us know that Viola Davis's life was not a fairy tale, and she spends a big chunk of the book describing her childhood, which was just wrought and filled with violence, every kind of violence. So she endured violence at school. She was taunted by racist boys who would literally chase her home every day from school. And one time they caught her and hit her in the arm and threw her down. And she talks about how her mother just told her to stop running, and she got this knitting needle, and the next time they tried it, she's like, "Look, I'll stab you." And they got the message and left her alone. And I'm not advocating violence, I'm just saying. She stood up to her bullies. But she also witnessed her mother being beaten every day near about by her father. And she describes she and her sisters seeing trails of blood leading to their door as they came home from school. She describes not sleeping through the night because she would be awakened by her mother's screams. She describes her father attempting to break her mother's legs with a 2x4, like a wooden stick. She describes inappropriate touching and basically molestation by her brother. I think it was touching with her and maybe got a little further with her sisters. She also describes this physical manifestation of her body reacted to that. She wet the bed and up until she was 13, and how they were so poor they didn't have running water sometimes, or they didn't have heat, and so she would try to wash her clothes in cold water, and without heat in the wintertime, maybe the clothes wouldn't be dry, and she'd wear damp clothes out to school. And there's this one description of how the teacher wouldn't come near her because of her body odor, and how she and her sister were called to the nurse's office so that they can talk to them about their hygiene and how to clean themselves, and how humiliating that was. So there was just a lot of turmoil in her house, and she does credit her big sister, I think her name was Denise, but I could be wrong about that. But her older sister was really excellent in school, and she put in their mind that they could have a future, that if they worked hard and they were able to focus, they could envision a future outside of the hell that they were growing up in. And she describes she and her sisters putting on this play and winning, although they were the underdogs, winning this competition in her hometown. And she was raised in Central Falls, Rhode Island. And I believe they were the only Black family there for some years. So that big chunk of the book is really them describing fighting rats that were so abundant that they would jump on their beds at night. They would hear them eating through the food and the clothing in their closets, and how when they won that competition, they won a red bat, and how her sister, who would later be a star on the softball team, would kill rats with the red bat. So, it's just amazing, the resilience of children, and how you can go through the worst of times and still somehow survive, you know? And I say survive because, excuse me, later, Viola does describe going through 7 years of therapy to like heal some of that trauma. It just got to a point I was just like, okay, I have to take a break from this book because it was just like, I can't hear another rat story. I can't hear another going to bed going to school with urine soaked clothes story. I can't hear another mom getting hit and her head being split open story. And I know it's raw and honest. However, fair warning, if that's a trigger for you, you may want to skip this or, read some fluff in between or watch a funny show or whatever. But it is pretty heavy. It was to the point where I'm like, okay, get to the joy. Get to the joy. I am ready for some joy. And we do get, her story of how she goes to school and decides that she makes this choice because growing up poor, it clicked with me, it resonated with me, how you make a choice with, do I follow my dream, what's in my heart, or do I make money? Because you want to eat and you want to survive and you want health care and you know what it's like to go without. And how she comes to the decision to follow acting because that is her lifeblood. And that didn't make it easy. So there were years of struggle and how her physical appearance was a detriment to her because the casting directors wanted, what she calls like interchangeable. I think that's the word she used, meaning that if the Black woman, you could take her face and make it white, she'd still be acceptable. So like and I don't want to pick on her, a Halle Berry, And so how she would get, callbacks for drug addicted mother or, she played a maid in Help. It wasn't until Annalise Keating and How to Get Away with Murder, Shonda Rhimes, sisters putting sisters on, that she got the role that she had been searching for her entire career. What I do like when I say get to the joy is when she talks about meeting her husband, Julius, and how one of her friends was basically like, you don't have anyone in your life. Why don't you have someone in your life? And she was just like, man, go ahead on with that. She had been through, her a really loveless relationship and one really toxic relationship. And she spent a lot of her youth uncoupled because of, just this. I don't know if it's more of the struggle or her shyness or not feeling pretty. But when she met Julius, she had gone through those 7 years of therapy to help, uproot some of that stuff. And when her friend mentioned that, he told her to pray, to get down on your knees and pray and ask God for what you want. And she had me cracking up when she's like, she want a big Black country man. And then how she met Julius on the set of, I don't know if it was a soap opera or what, but he was a big Black country man. And how she just describes him is he seems just so earnest and just so, just in love with her and with a good heart, without an ulterior motive, just a good salt of the earth kind of brother. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to get down on my knees too, Viola. And ask what I want specifically. I have been inspired. But I will tell you that it is a worthy read. It can be triggering if you've gone through any type of trauma, especially childhood trauma. You may have childhood PTSD or something like that. But It's a lot more in depth and involved. Definitely worth it. 2 thumbs up.